So the straps that we use on our setup and the ones that we also sell in the store are from BA Products. It's a manufacturer. Everything's made here in America. They're down in Maryland. They're basically kind of the standard of towing and recovery operations. Basically any tow truck flatbed you see, chances are you're going to see these products being used. The setup we have with the T-hooks, I think the T-hooks are rated at 4,000 pounds working load limit, and the straps are 3670. Working load limit, not to be confused with braking strength. Working load is typically a third of the actual braking strength of the strap. So if you take this 3670 and multiply it by 4, that's the working load limit using 4 straps for your car. Not to be again confused with the braking strength, which is usually a factor of 3 of the working load limit. But high quality. These have spent 2 years outside on an open trailer, and now they get to live in luxury in the enclosed. But the ratchet still functions perfectly. They got a little bit of a suntan. They're not as bright as when they first came out of the box, but everything works perfectly. I haven't really maintained them anything special. I haven't even really oiled the mechanism, and they open and close perfectly. No, they're an excellent product. That's why we sell it and we stand behind it. They have wonderful customer service. If there's ever an issue, they will replace it, no problem. I've had it before, and they've just sent out a brand new ratchet without even asking twice. So great product. We stand behind it. We use it. We sell it, and we think if it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you. So first step, make sure that the trailer is on level ground. We don't want the car rolling around, so get your trailer nice and level, and then you can start the process. So the very first thing I do when I'm going to load the car up is I lay out my front straps in this crisscross pattern. Whenever using the T-hooks, you have to crisscross the straps so the T-hooks properly engage. Laying this out before putting the car on makes your life a lot easier. It's very hard to slide the T-hook in from the front of the car, get it around the tire, and then try and get it into the chassis. So make sure that you lay it out like this first, and you're going to be much happier when you go to install the T-hook into the chassis. So now you can see why putting these straps down before you pull in is so important. It's a real pain trying to squeeze in between there and over here. I even have a pop-up there, so that makes life even harder. But the strap's are already there, so I don't have to mess with trying to slide it underneath the front of the car and trying to get it around the front tire. They're sitting there. I just got to reach my arm underneath from the side and pop it in, and we're good to go. So here's a good look at the T-hook in the chassis, and then just to install it or to remove it, it's just a twist, and it'll pop in or pop out when you're mounting the car. So just like that, boom. In, turn it, it catches. Once you tighten it, it'll pull tight just like that. You're not putting any stress on the wheel bearings or any suspension parts, anything like that. You're attaching straight to the chassis. And here's a good shot of how the T-hooks go into the chassis and then run back on the straps just like that. And here, this is the front of the car, and you see with our setup with this one extra link that's attached to the T-hook, it allows the strap to lay nice and flat instead of giving it that twist. Alright, so the car's in the trailer. It's not tied down yet. Just have this front straps laying under the car, and the rear straps aren't attached. What we're going to do is, the car has the e-brake on, it's in gear. If you don't have emergency brake, put the car in gear and just let it sit there. Hook up all 4 of the T-hooks and all the straps and get them slightly tight. Not real tight, just enough that when you take it out of gear or remove the e-brake, the car is not going to move around on you. Basically what you're going to do is get it a little bit tight, pop it out of gear, then we're going to tighten it down really, really tight so we're pulling against the straps instead of pulling against the drive line. Alright, so the straps are a little tight now. They're not enough to, I can still, you know, move it with my hands up and down a little bit. Not real tight yet. Car's in gear and the e-brake is on. Now we're going to pop it out of gear and we're going to tighten down the straps. So here's another little piece of advice for you. If your trailer has these types of rings, make sure that the hook is sitting outside the ring like this. Okay? What can happen is the ring, when you do this, if it's loose, when you start, the tip of the hook, see that? Shadow in the way. That way. See how the tip of the hook is down inside here? If you strap the car down real tight, it's actually going to hook on that. And you can see there's actually a pretty big gap. So when you hit a bump, the first bump you hit, it's going to pop out. And you're going to lose a good bit of tension on that. And if you do that on all four corners, you might end up with a bit of an issue. So final step, once everything is done here, straps are super tight. Make sure you remember to push this down, and it should lay flat. If it doesn't lay flat, that means that you may be a little bit off on one of these sprockets, so you're not totally locked. If this bar right here doesn't let you put this flat, you're not positively hooked up. So once you can do that, you're good to go. Safe travels. After about an hour, check the car. Whenever you stop for fuel, something like that, make sure everything's strapped down tight. So this is the final product, how it'll end up. You'll end up with a crisscross like this, going to the chassis mounts using the T-hooks. Look just like that. And at this point, I'll put the e-brake back on and I'll put it in gear. Some people say, oh, I don't like to put it in gear. Car moves around, it's going to damage some, blah, 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 blah. My feeling is if the car gets to the point where it's moving that much, you're kind of in trouble. So anything that's going to help the car stay in one place is safe. I think what most people think with that, and they get confused, is they put it in gear and then ratchet down as hard as they can, and that puts a lot of load on the drivetrain. So I think that's the misconception people have. I don't see an issue with having the car in gear while it's strapped. Right now this car is not going to go anywhere, and my feeling is if it gets to the point where that can move around enough that the fact that it's in gear matters, I'm going to take it being in gear and whatever kind of little issues that may cause down the road, versus having a car just rolling around in here in neutral and smashing the front and rear of my trailer. So that's my thought on that. Everyone has their own opinion. You're allowed to have it, but that's my thinking behind it, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a safe journey with your car to the track.